Hello there everyone, and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. We have another video here presented to us by Mr. Barscast. He suggested just to check out this game because it was quite a good one, where we have Team Flip versus Team Mitvit. And on the left hand side, Mitvit himself here in orange, going Armada. Below him we have Screwish in red, and at the bottom of the left hand side we have the Dolph himself in yellow, who is going Armada bots. Now on Team Flip we have in turquoise Goth, who is Cortex Vehicles. Just above him we have Zhao, however you want to pronounce it, who is in green, who is also Cortex, currently hasn't got a factory queued up. And to the north we have Contra, who is Armada Vehicles. Now this map itself, we often see this in a 1v1 map layout, and when we're playing 1v1, obviously normally it's both players start in the middle and move towards the middle and fight over this section here. But with it being a 3v3 thing, it's kind of completely changed, and it's more of a lane map now. So we can guess that Dolfy is going to be fighting around here, Screwish and Zoe there, and Mitvit and Contra fighting over the largest space territory along the north. Now Dolfy did a pretty good job there getting a metal extractor for a single scout. Trying to get in behind this commander here. He's not going to get enough damage, but he will have flanked around enough to cause some annoyance. Actually manages to get that metal extractor, maybe. Nope, it will get repaired. Almost kills it. 10% left. Meanwhile, the other players on Team Flip doing fine right now. This is a common layout here. We see at the back here from 1v1s. Slightly off-centered mexes with a solar and an LRT there to guard it. So we have Zoe also going vehicles. Goth going vehicles here on the bottom as well. He's going to have to get that metal extractor he's just lost, but very good raiding on both teams here. We see a huge bunch of raiders here, scouts, sorry, that are going to get cleaned up. Maybe get a metal extractor. They do get one metal extractor. Although it being right in the base, it's not going to take Dolfy long to clean that up. Now, we'll quickly zoom back out here. We can see the left side is definitely pushing stronger than the right-hand side team. Team Flip really yet to leave the base much at all, especially Contra, who is still just kind of sat up in the corner here, not really pushing out yet. Actually hasn't even got any combat units other than these two blitzes at the front. Meanwhile, we see Mitvit here with a substantial chunk of blitzes. He's got 5 here, and Contra is not going to have anything to contest them if they go straight for his base. Meanwhile, plenty of LLTs in Zoe's area to protect. And Zoe now leaving the base. Goth and Dolfy about to go mano a mano on the bottom here. Very well placed LLT there. Will stop Goth getting much at all, especially getting that metal extractor. And Goth will not be able to get that LLT built in the area. That is the front line drawn for Goth. Just here. He's not going to be able to contest those metal extractors, and it does leave this very dangerous way in to the bases of Zoe and Goth. Meanwhile, Mitvit on the north here doesn't use these blitzes quick enough, but does get an engineer, and that will be all. One engineer though, not too bad. Screwish. Oh. dangerous. Goaf pushes into a double LLT and gets the D-gun off on them quick enough to clear it out. Goaf without any units yet, though. Another great D-gun there from Goaf, just stopping Dolfy being able to expand. Dolfy making a mistake here. What Dolfy should be doing is positioning his comm in front of the laser tower so that Goaf can't just walk up to it and D-gun. Because he didn't do that, Goaf was obviously able to D-gun that laser tower. Goaf now, though, having rocket bots coming at him, which is going to just completely nullify these laser towers. And Goaf, with still no units, really, is going to be in a bit of trouble and it's going to have to fall back. Meanwhile, Screwish taking a big chunk of this middle area, and so far the left team are definitely have the majority of the map control here, with the exception of north of Mitfit. There is a big gap north of Mitfit, which Contra is pushing down, which may cause some problems for Mitfit, as we see a big group of forces here about to push into this LLT line and come round the back of Screwish's base potentially, or maybe straight into Mitfit's base. Who knows where these are going to go. Yep, into Screwish's base. Although this Janus is... it's fine. I was going to say, if the Janus did push down, the Janus would get a good amount of damage, but he gets a couple of metal extractors. This is Contra. It's not too bad. Meanwhile, in the middle, Zo has transitioned over to Blitzes, using his commander here to keep the Blitzes up and alive. Meanwhile, Goaf on the south side again, struggling here. Dolfy pushing forward with his commander into this gap, building LLTs on the ridgeline here. And can't just keep building LLTs versus these rocket bots. They outrange them. But Dolfy is putting himself in a bit of an awkward position though, because Dolfy is behind the front line of Zao. Zao could quite easily push around the back or just completely block off his commander, and there's not much he's going to be able to do. Goaf in big trouble here, really struggling. Keeps building LLTs to stop Dolphy's commander, but what he needs to worry about is the units. That's what's slowly pushing him in, and he does try and push in here and does manage to take out quite a lot of pawns there, but still. Biggest threat for the left team right now is Zo in the middle. He's building up a sizable chunk of brutes here, but the Januses do make a big chunk of damage on that. Zo's commander a little bit exposed here. Now there's 3 Januses come in. Luckily, that D-gun manages to get 2 Januses off. That's a pretty good trade. And Dolfy using his commander here literally just to separate Goaf from Zo, completely segregating one member of Flip. And more rocket bots here, just slowly taking down these LLTs. Goaf needs to stop spending so much metal on LLTs. And Zo's literally saying this now. Stop making LLTs, he outranges you. Exactly. In this sort of a situation, tanks, artillery, a good choice. We actually see Zo coming down here, trying to attempt to help Goaf out. But this is a big chunk of forces here. But these rocket trucks are slowly going to force Dolfy back. And we missed that actually, but Zo's commander goes down in the middle. The gingerbread man is just laying there. A couple of blitzes get through on the back. It's only going to cause a little bit of damage, not too much to worry about. But Dolfy being forced back along the bottom here. Meanwhile, on this north side, Contra getting some D-guns off here against these forces of Mitfit. D-guns his own Janus there actually, but managed to take out a large amount of forces, and this leaves Mitfit open on the north side, and Mitfit is now in danger. Well, these forces get cleaned up. Unfortunately, being so close to the enemy's base does mean that reinforcement units are just being produced quicker than Contra can get forces to him. The reclaim of Zoe's commander is unfortunately going to Screwish, which he needs to invest that wisely. At the moment, he's just investing it into more energy, which he doesn't really need. He doesn't actually have that much in the way of units here. And Dolfy now being forced back with the help of Zoe. This force here is probably actually enough to just all in on this stuff, I would presume. Especially with the commander out of position here. But Dolphy's quite happy to just slowly fall back. He's actually cloaked his commander here. Can they see him? Yes. Unfortunately, Dolfy, yes, they can see you. He was totally going for a surprise D-gun there. Meanwhile, on this north side, Contra is making a play on Mitvit's base here. Meanwhile, with a bit of assistance from Zhao pushing in with his tanks along Mitvit's previous line. Contra's commander in a bit of a difficult situation here. Does manage to get a D-gun off, killing 2 stealths. A little bit of raiding going on there. Doesn't really accomplish much. Contra doing well with his commander there. Dodging some of those shots. Unfortunately, Zoe's forces get cleared up. There's a lot of LLTs in the middle here. Maybe time to invest in a couple of artilleries just to slowly clear up this space. Meanwhile, Goth has managed to reclaim a bit of a front line here, but Dolfy has transitioned to full stouts here, which is going to be a bit of a problem. Janisses, a large force of Janisses actually on this north side here. Contra needs to be careful that he just doesn't get popped by a Janis push here. His commander is in front, which is a bit dangerous. Scouts going in here trying to bait out the Janis shots, which does manage to get one. There's a couple of Janisses of his own, but is unfortunately not able to bait out any Janis shots with that one. They are set to fire at will. Also, at the same time, we see Zoe here with a decent tank force, trying to force Screwish and Mitvit back. Meanwhile, Goth's commander in a tough spot, misses the D-gun, 4%, 2% health. Does almost get killed by a single scout. The Goth's commander is going to go down with 1% health. And that is Goth's commander out. Although it's so close to his base, I don't see him getting that reclaim. Meanwhile, on the north side here, Janis is just forcing Contra to fall back here. And mines actually being built by Screwish here, which is surprising. Contra's comm sat at 61% health. A little bit dangerous for him. There is definitely enough Janisses here to pop him at that health. Good work here from Zoe. Definitely forcing a bit of a stalemate in the middle, even with Screwish having so much more metal. Oh, and this is not good. Goth on the south side somehow lost all of his forces here. Oh, he lost all his forces because Dolfy suicided his commander into them. And this leaves a big hole on this south side. And Shuriken's trying to come in here to help save the day, but it's not really going to be too much. Dolfy actually falling back, though. He has no air defense, so Screwish forced back from the middle point. Mitvit coming in to assist, 2v1ing against Zal currently. Blue, though, because Mitvit has now pushed elsewhere. Contra now pushing into Mitvit's base. And this is going to do some damage. Mitvit's commander not in a position to stop this. And At the same time, we're going to see Goth's factory being destroyed. Goth's units and buildings have been transferred to Zal here. And we are going to see a base trade here. This is a big force of stouts pushing through. We see Screwish desperately trying to rush forces back here to block this. Meanwhile, Zoe has no forces really to defend against Dolphy's forces that are at the bottom in this corner. And airplay coming in as well from Contra as we see loads of bombers on the north. And Contra actually just completely bypassing Screwish and going into Dolphy's base here, as we see Dolphy's base about to get attacked by all of the stouts and leftovers from Goth's base. Shurikens are rushing back, which will help prevent some of the damage. Good bombing run. Loads of advanced solars take heavy damage. And this is a good push from Contra here. Done a lot of damage. And, well, this is a lot for the left team to come back on. He is just riding them straight by. And unfortunately, we're not getting any real lasting damage. But here come the bombers. And it does get the vehicle factory. So, Zoe's base manages to survive. Mitvit trying to rebuild, but has lost pretty much everything. Bombers are still doing a good job at hitting Dolphy here. And meanwhile, Goth is basically completely out of the game. This is a lot of metal now left right outside Mitvit's base. Mitvit doing, not Mitvit, Zoe doing okay for resources right now. Unfortunately, there's a lot of anti-air now on this south side, so Zoe needs to get units there ASAP. And right now, the issue is, although most of the bases have been destroyed of the left team, they have no units to defend their own bases. And Contra is consistently pushing the enemy bases. So it is still advantage left team rather than team flip here. Contra again with another great push through. Gonna do some sizable damage here, but unfortunately at the same time, we see a combined push of Screwish here and Dolphy about to hit Zoe's base, and of course Zoe has no commander left. So needs some help from Contra, needs to send some units down to him to help. Currently the left team is just completely floating metal. See, we've got Dolphy selected here. 3,800 metal just banked right now. Trying to get a bit more damage here on the economy of Screwish. And surprisingly trying to focus down the factory, but we'll definitely not have enough power to do that. Although saying that, I was wrong. Both factories for Screwish are out of action. That's going to change the battle substantially. The only one that has a proper active factory up with build power now is currently Dolphy. And meanwhile, Team Flip have 4 factories up and running, but are down a member entirely. Contra doing great work here, just causing problems for the left team, and this stout is in a hole, stuck. It's still clearing it up though anyway. I think they're trying to get Goth back in the game here, but we see Dolphy with a good chunk of res spots here, desperately trying to get this reclaim, not giving it to Zoe. Zoe's had a decent amount of time now to start amassing forces. Meanwhile, Contra is basically now on a 2v1 along the top. And surprisingly, we see Screwish actually go Tech 2 instead. not a bad idea. He did have a huge bunch of Requiem in his base. And we see neither player on the other side on Team Flip here going Tech 2. And the first unit out from Screwish was gifted momentarily to Dolfy, but he's changed his mind, it seems. And Mivit slowly trying to get back in the game here. He's obviously really far behind, but he does have some mal extractors. More so than his opponent on the opposite side, Goth. Massive wave of scouts here come out to try and see what's going on. Try and spot some of this Tech 2 if it can. Actually, just seems to be clearing up most of the mines. He's going to get a bit of metal extractor kills at least. Maybe he is using it literally just to clear mines that seem a bit of a waste, but still on the both teams here we do see now Team Flip attempting to go Tech 2 as well. Now these forces here of Dolfy is probably more than what Zoe has. Oh, this is dangerous. Zoe does a great job here at not making his units shoot at that Twilight. If he had his forces EMP'd by that Twilight, it would have been game over for Mitvit's forces there. But there is a big hole open along this bottom side to Mitvit's to Zoe's base, which Dolfy is definitely planning to make the most of. So now trying to dictate where Dolphy's going to send his forces, forcing him to come to the middle instead, to ignore that hole. It's also what Contra's trying to do, forcing Screwish to send his forces right north instead towards him rather than, you know, into the base of Team Flip. Some tanks do get taken out there from EMPs, and this may have been a bit of a dangerous decision here as Zoe's forces are now very out of position to stop this push. And this Tetsu factory may end up actually getting taken out before it's able to produce more than just 2 engineers. Desperately trying to build twin LLTs here to just defend as much as he can, but Dolfy does completely own the entire bottom half of the map. And will this Tech 2 factory go down? It 100% will. Look how quick that is dropping. That is a big hit there for Zoe. If he can keep Tech 2 engineers alive though, it will maybe at least somewhat pay off. He does manage to save them. And Zoe now without a factory. Contra needs to do something soon. He has decided to transition to Tech 2 vehicles himself. Contra definitely not doing as much with his side as Dolfy is managing to do with his bottom side, constantly forcing Zoe on the defensive. And Mitvit does also have Tech 2 now as well. But Mitvit has been pushed back to the Stone Age several times. And we're yet to see Screwish make too much use of that Tech 2. We are seeing some Tech 2 artillery on the field starting to come out. I can't believe how many mines are being built here. And Resbots actually sneaking into the back of Zoe's base. Yeah, that's not getting anything. Where did that Tech 2 engineer go? Here. I'm surprised he is not building any units. Interesting enough, we see him start a fusion there with the engineer and then actually just moving it back up to here for the construction turrets to build that. Oh, do we see Goth here attempting to resurrect the factory? Goth has like no power. That is going to take 1 billion years for that to resurrect. But Goth, obviously losing this bottom corner here, has given Dolfy basically full control up to here. And that means that Zoe's on a bit of a problem here, whereas Mitvit still controls this corner, although intermittently loses it. Still pretty much controls it. Contra now with no forces at all because of his push. And is still not building anything. Desperately reclaiming some solars here now that he's got a fusion up in order to try and get some forces. But this is going to take a while for those forces to get built. Contra's comm is the last comm for Team Flip. Bit of a risky move here as Mitvit slowly pushes in. With some balls here probably gifted to him by Screwish in the middle. Also Screwish slowly pushing with some Mausers also in the middle here. Mine slowly making a dent into Zoe's army here. The Tech 2 lab does manage to get resurrected eventually. But it's good to see Goth hasn't given up. He has basically lost everything and is about to lose his factory yet again. But he's still trying to support his team when he can. Even if he's only on no metal extractors, I believe. I think he's purely on reclaim and that's it. This Tech 2 arty push in the middle is going to start causing problems. Slowly whittling down the defenses, but here comes a big push. Combined push here from Mitvit and Screwish. Combined Tech 1 and Tech 2 push into Zoe's base. This is actually turning around. Red forces pushing along the bottom of this little secure area. A Tech 2 pop-up turret does get built, but it's not really going to do too much. And even with the massive amount of damage that Contra did, unfortunately, he's not really been able to turn it around into a victory. Zooming out here, you can see that Team Flip has been pushed back to this 2/3 mark. And surprisingly, these mines are actually just slowly causing problems. Zoe needs units desperately. He needs an army on the field. This is not going to be enough balls here. He is manually firing on these metal extractors though, doing a good job of just whittling away the income. Poor Goth just got completely destroyed at the minute of being in by Dolfy. Dolfy has an air factory. We're trying to work out who has the final comm. They know it's Contra, they're just going to go right into Contra. But who's the comms on the left? We have Mitvit and Screwish. And I don't think if all these forces here combined and just went in on Zoe's base, I don't think it would survive, nor would it survive if it all went in on Contra. He's desperately trying to get more economy up and running. Resbots just get absolutely obliterated as soon as they get within range of these res stouts here. First banisher coming out from Zoe. Does have more range than the Mauser. Or does it? 940, 800. No, it does not have more range. Doesn't miss though. Meanwhile, an attempted push by Mitvit manages to get blocked very well by Contra. And once again, Zoe holds the line. Dolphy's forces have been ferried to the middle, and Dolphy's quite happy to just draw a line in the sand with a bunch of walls down the bottom here and just call it a day. We actually see Dolphy here transitioning completely to air as he's going for atomic bombers. By the looks of it, he's planning to find the last commander and snipe him, which is not a bad way to end a fight like this, but neither team is actually happy to push into the other. This is a good fight here on the north side. Contra choosing to attack this line of units from one side of it, meaning that he's able to bring more firepower to bear at one time. Large amount of Mausers now as well, which is going to mop up all this Tech 1 pretty easy, but he is placing them in a bit of an iffy spot here as they are very close to the front line. Here come the atomic bomber, and Contra knows what's happening. Oh, he cloaks his comm and manages to move it away. Oh, it doesn't get the second bomb off. And Contra survives just 32% health. And that was very lucky. Contra managed to survive that. But we do see Starlights now coming out. Eco harassment coming out from Screwish in the middle here. And is these lightning attacks going to move to intercept? Not quick enough, they're not. Although they're getting reclaimed so quickly that they're not even really getting a shot off. Although they do. And that chains. Oh dear. That's all of Contra's build power now gone up in smoke. And do we see a second attempt at atomic bombers from Dolphy? We do. So bear in mind, whilst Dolphy's putting all of this into air, we see Mitvit, yeah, actually also going air himself with gunships. And now all of a sudden there's a lot less tanks on the field. And Contra is now able to make a bit of an impact with his tanks that he's got left. He has plenty of these AA tanks left around. And if those gunships come anywhere near this AA, they're going to be taken out so quickly. Zal making a push against the only player left to have any sort of ground forces, which is Screwish. Atomic bombers, though, coming in onto Zoe's base. There goes the Tech 2 lab. And the fusion. So now with no production left. Ooh. Just dismantling his base one by one. And with Zhao now out, we do see a resigned command up here from Team Flip. Large massive gunships coming on the north side as well. That one atomic bomber just dismantling Cell Space bomb by bomb. Leaving nothing to res behind. And he has no AA to stop that. See him microing that bomber there. And that's it. We're not going to see anything else happen from this. Unfortunately, Contra was not able to make the most of his push onto Mitvit. Wasn't able to completely wipe him out and keep him knocked out for a long time. Screwish doing a great job in the middle of the map, supporting Mitvit, keeping Mitvit alive, helping him rebuild. And Dolphy pushing along the bottom here, completely overwhelming Golf. And that just meant that So was forced to be defensive the entire game. And that just gave the other team the advantage. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you guys next time.